I'm the bad guy for telling one of my good friends I wouldn't attend his wedding because my wife wasn't invited. Main issue. My best friend from college and I are both having weddings this year. His June and mine November. Mine is really more of just a party because I married my wife at the courthouse about a year ago because we didn't want to wait until we could afford the party to commit to each other. He invited me to his wedding but not my wife. I waited until his deadline for RCVPs and then told him I wouldn't attend because my wife and I go to events together, or we don't go because she's the woman behind me as I am the man behind her, and we are effectively a unit. I know I shouldn't have waited, but I wanted to try and push off an uncomfortable conversation. He blew up on me and accused me of always choosing others over him and not being a decent friend or caring about him at all. He said that he didn't invite my wife because there physically wasn't enough space at the venue and that I wasn't the only one affected by this. He went on to essentially say that I need to not be codependent and that he wasn't asking me to go on a 6-month deployment from my family, but that I need to be there for him to be a good friend. I eventually caved because he made me feel bad and said I will go without my wife. Also, after talking about it with my wife, but my thoughts now is that if you plan a wedding at a physically small place, it's okay to invite just me. But by same time, talking don't be upset when I decline because you made your bad type of deal. It's also worth noting I had a similar constraint on my wedding, but it cut 2 family members to allow both he and his soon-to-be wife seats at my wedding. So context, I'm a government controller engineer working on a very expensive, to the tone of higher-ups giving updates to Congress, very time-consuming project currently. I'm not at the top of the chain, but I've been able to advance my career very quickly, so I'm in the position of responsibility. I missed his bachelor party because I need to travel for a work meeting. He's very much still to chat bro, let's get drunk type, and I'm not anymore. I have a wife, I have 2 small children, who are the absolute most important things for me. I don't respond to his texts nearly as often or as quickly, and I don't endlessly play video games with our old group like I used to. So I think it's fair for him to feel he's not as important because, while I love him, he also just isn't compared to my career, but most of all family. I know I'm preachy, so I'll brief. My wife and I are not attached at the hip. To clarify, weddings, funerals, graduation, work dinners, we go together. Formal events, if it's a girls' night or boys' night level stuff, we have no problem being apart. I also didn't send in an RCVP. I let the automatic system do it for me. The website read RCVP here. No submission will be counted as will not attend at deadline. IMO that reflects very poorly on me in an effort to be fair. I'm not going to his wedding and he's not going to mine. The friendship has been terminated, not for just this, but an accumulation for reasons. People ask why I wanted to respond knowing it was wrong. I was weak essentially, and events from our history made me procrastinate because I knew in any event it wouldn't be good conversation. Not an excuse, and I know I'll miss up there. I'm the bad guy for telling my girlfriend she needs to stop being so woke and let people leave. Okay, so the little may not do me any justice, but please listen the post for context. My girlfriend and I are both well individuals. She is 28 and I'm 30. I would like to consider ourselves very open-minded, respectful, and overall allies to anyone and everyone. Unfortunately, my girlfriend's needs to be an ally has turned into more harm than helpful in my opinion. She has essentially become a white savior in the worst way possible. I've tried multiple times to let her know when she's done something wrong, and so have some of our friends, some who are minorities themselves, but it just seems to not context in her mind how she's not being woke and borderline disrespectful. I recently had to physically pull her away from a situation because the situation was getting quickly out of hand. When we got home, it became a huge argument where I called her out on all her recent ignorance and some. If I'm being honest, I don't think I'm in the wrong here. And although some friends agree with me, others says she's just trying to help. And I wouldn't know what it feels like to need an ally since I'm everything society deems as a proof ECT individual in the sense I'm straight, white male who grew up with more than enough to live comfortably. Because I know people are going to ask for examples here, a few recent ones, and maybe this will help decide if I'm truly a bad guy or am I right? We were out with friends and some who are part of the LGBT community. We are both not. We're talking and joking amongst themselves, and none of them refer to themselves with the F slur. My girlfriend started berating them on the use of the slur, the history, and why it's offensive. Our friends just laughed it off, but it was obvious the tension was up afterwards. On May 5th, she asked her co-workers who are Mexican what they were doing that day. When they told her they will be working, she got offended on their behalf because they shouldn't be working on such an important holiday. Mind you, they don't even celebrate it. The most recent and the cause of all this, while we were eating with some friends, there was a young kid outdoor by himself. For a while, so my girlfriend went with him and offered to buy him lunch. Not even 3 minutes later, his mom came over and tried to take him back to wherever they were going, and my girlfriend offered to buy her lunch. The mom refused, and my girlfriend tried giving them money, and it was obvious the mom was getting upset. So I went over to try to get her to come sit back with us. She refused, saying she couldn't eat knowing there were people who needed help, and the mom at the point was more than upset. So she asked my girlfriend what made her think they needed for help, and she stupidly responded with a dumb statistic of how the Hispanic community suffered the most when it came to poverty and hunger, and the mom was more than ready to get physical, so I pulled her away while apologizing profusely to the mom. There's many more, but these are the most recent ones, and I believe that you can help me. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for telling my grieving ex-mother-in-law not to move closer to her own granddaughter? My ex left her daughter Zoe and I very abruptly 6 years ago and moved from the US to another country with his affair partner. His mother-in-law was initially sympathetic, but when EP got pregnant, she moved to the country to be closer to her grandchild. He and AP later got married and had another baby. It felt like a betrayal all the time from Zoe's path. She lost her dad as well as her grandma. She will visit her dad on some school breaks and part of the summer and see her grandma there. And we'll keep in contact via FaceTime, but it wasn't the same. However, by that point I was marrying my second husband, whose family adores Zoe, so that softened the blow. We also moved to a different state. My ex passed away in 2021, which was devastating for all of us. Initially, mother-in-law stayed on to support her young grandsons and my ex poor grieving wife. But without my ex there are some immigration visa issues, so she's choosing to move back to the US. She called me and said that she had decided to move to our state to be closer to Zoe. She has no other connection here. I said we'll be happy to invite you to birthdays and maybe get together for Christmas Eve, but that our family is busy their days. And Zoe is about to enter her teenage years, so she should take that into account. She started talking about wanting to spend a lot more one-on-one time with my daughter. I said frankly, she'd lost the right to demand one-to-one access years ago, and she should bear in mind that Zoe was ambivalent and best around her, and with her entering her teen years, that probably wasn't going to change. Mother-in-law said she was grieving, and this was her late son's old daughter, and her blood. I said she had all but abandoned Zoe just as her son had. and she couldn't expect to just pick up where she left off, and that Zoe now had step-grandparents who played a part in her life that mother-in-law had effectively left vacant. I said she could move where she wanted. That was her choice. But don't count on this relationship. She was very upset and accused me of trying to erase her Zoe's father and paternal family to make room for her stepfather's stepfamily, and has said that I'm alienating her Zoe against her. For example, she's upset that I told Zoe in passing that she was having visa issues months ago because it interferes with her "I'm coming back just for you" narrative. And the truth is that I've always made sure Zoe is nice, but even before my ex died, I haven't done much to encourage Zoe to deepen the relationship with her grandma. It was hard for her to visit her dad and see mother-in-law being her half-siblings drama. She also has complex feelings towards her half-siblings and stepmom. She knows mother-in-law is moving back, but I didn't tell her that mother-in-law wants to move here yet. As a parent, I don't know if it will be healthy for her, especially since I don't think mother-in-law can be trusted to stick around if she gets a better offer. But maybe it wasn't my place to tell her not to move. So what do you think? Am I the bad guy for not going to my sister's wedding? Some background. Hello, I'm a 17 male. About 8 months ago, met the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. We became friends because of our shared hobbies, and somehow I got lucky enough that we started dating 6 months ago. About a week into dating, she told me that she was trans. Yeah, I accepted this and I had no problem with dating her. She was happy, and as I've said, me and her have been dating for 6 months. She has met my family multiple times, and about a month ago she told me she was trans as well. Everyone accepted, or if they didn't, they keep their mouths shut. Everyone except one. My sister got huffy and started to ignore my girlfriend. She asked me later how I expected to have kids one day if I was dating a fake woman. I told her to shut up and I don't want kids anyway. She got quiet and that was that. My sister's wedding is in 3 months, and she sent out invites to RCVP a few days ago. Everyone is allowed to bring a +1. I choose my girlfriend and send in the RCVP. Today the same came by while hanging out with my parents. She told me my girlfriend couldn't come. When I asked why, she said, and I quote, "I don't want a delusional boy at my wedding." At first I wondered why she thought I was delusional, and then I realized she was talking about my girlfriend. I told her to take that back and she said she's only speaking the truth. I called her a transphobe and said that either me and my girlfriend go or I didn't go at all. She said she's not letting that creep into my wedding. So I said to not expect me there either. She laughed like she thought I wouldn't follow through with it, but I withdrew my RCVP and threw her wedding gift in the trash. Now she's pissed and in getting everyone else involved. My parents are staying neutral. My sister's fiancé is actually on my side. Love that guy. Along with our other siblings and my uncle. My aunt and cousins are on my sister's side, and some are pressuring me to go because it's my sister's big day. Others want me to just keep the peace, and my aunt was just as transphobic as my sister. My girlfriend said I don't have to destroy my relationship with my sister over her bi. I told her that if my sister was like this, then it would have ended someday anyway, so it might as well be now. But I'm wondering, am I the bad guy for splitting the family up between supporting me and supporting my sister? Am I the bad guy for not wanting to be around his family when I can't understand them? So I married a Scandinavian. We decided it was easier for me to move to him because he has kids from a previous relationship I have known. So I moved here. Now I would just like to preface that I'm learning the language. Maybe not as dedicated as it should be, but it's coming on slowly. Adding that everyone here speaks nearly perfect English. Hasn't forced anything really. Everyone except his mother. She speaks very poor English, and we have not really communicated much with each other outside of translation. So at family functions, I just kinda sit there waiting for someone to talk to me. I'm not really included in the conversation or plan making, Sometimes they be talking and talking and they will stop to ask me questions about the convo they're having. I give an answer, then they carry on in their own language. Now I kinda get why they speak around mom that way. She's more important, and excluding her will be like A-level doge. Except when we go out with his brother and his girlfriend, they all talk without including me, and they all speak English perfect. In other situations, going out with friends and coworkers, they understand and usually make a point to speak English around non-speakers so they feel included. But my husband doesn't do that with his bro and his girl. Slightly hurts my feelings, especially when they make a point to invite me so I feel included, then just exclude out of me. I started learning the language, trying harder to speak with them, but the last 2 times, his mom will now slow down for me even after asking, and his brother just laughed at my attempts, grammar, pronunciation, not very encouraging. So I will confess at this point, a few years later, it's exhausting and lonely in these moments, especially when I consider how close I am with family, how welcoming they are, and how excluded I feel here. Last time we visited, I basically just sat on my phone and maybe had one too many drinks because I was feeling salty and sad. Apparently, this was a problem because it looked like I didn't care. I told him time and time how it was, and he didn't know, he just doesn't see the problem and insists they include me. We got in a huge fight and I basically said I don't want to go to family functions anymore, which he said cannot happen because I will be expected. So, am I the bad guy here? I'm at the baguette for refusing to listen to mother-in-law's speech on my wedding. So I hate speeches. I never understood their appeal. I think they are boring, exhausting, and very, very forced. But having said that, this is just my opinion, and I never forced it on anyone. I have sat through long, excoriating speeches without complaining like any other decent human being. When it was my turn to get married, however, I requested no speeches. We wrote that we loved everyone and that we know they love us, so if you want to say anything, say it to us directly, in private. My husband thought it was funny, but he knew my feelings about speeches. We had a small wedding with only loved ones, a weekend long. My husband loved games, so the wedding plan did a really great Taskmaster type of games, and everyone appreciated it. Dinner came, and mother-in-law stood up and started by saying, I know we are forbidden to make speeches by the bride, but this is my only son getting married, so I will do what I want to. I didn't hear the rest because I was seeing red. My sisters and bridesmaid were shocked. I pretend like she wasn't talking and continued my conversation with my girls. They did the same. Mother-in-law was furious. Both sister-in-laws were furious, and my husband was very angry that it shone in his profile. He refused to look at me. The rest of the night was awkward. My husband sighed, sulking in their seats. I wanted to make sure it wasn't ruined for the rest of us, and we ended up having a blast. Next day, I spent it with my family and friends. My husband said that I was very wrong in what I did. I couldn't force mother-in-law don't do that, and he knew she wouldn't no matter how much we told her. I shouldn't have disrespected and humiliated her like this. Our marriage started on the wrong foot, it seems. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for missing Mother's Day? I was supposed to spend Mother's Day with my mom. My mother, who is 45 years old, was battling cancer and going through chemo, so she didn't want to celebrate until she was feeling better. Meanwhile, my girlfriend Rose, who is 28 years old, had a stillborn birth that hurt her deeply. To support her, I promised to do Mother's Day with her every year. Last year, my mom's cancer went into remission, but after Mother's Day had passed, she said that when Mother's Day came around this year, she wanted to have a mother-son day together, which I agreed to. However, Rose was feeling lonely and didn't want me to leave and wanted to spend the day together. So I decided to spend the day with her instead. I know that it hurts my mother's feelings, and my sister said it was a screwed up thing to do. My dad said that my mom will need some time to get over it, but it was his birthday yesterday, and my mom said that she didn't want to come over because she's still mad that I missed Mother's Day. My friends are split on whether I'm the bad guy or not. Some think my mom is being petty, while other thinks I messed up and should apologize. I'm not sure what to do next, as I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings.